How to practice English at home. Real-life tips from a guy who's been there. Hey there, my friends. How's it going? I hope you're doing great wherever you are in the world. I'm super excited to be here with you today because I want to share something that's been a game changer for me and can definitely be a game changer for you too. I know firsthand that learning English can sometimes feel a little overwhelming, especially if you're stuck practicing at home, all by yourself. But guess what? I've got your back. There are tons of ways to level up your English speaking skills, even when you're flying solo. Let's face it, we've all been there. Maybe you don't have native English speakers around you, or there's just no way to find a language exchange partner in your city. You might not be ready to jump into Skype or Zoom calls with strangers, which, let's be honest, can be super intimidating, especially if you're a little shy. I totally get that. So what do you do when it's just you at home? Well, my friend, today I'm going to walk you through some awesome and practical ways you can practice English at home, alone, and still make serious progress. 1. Speaking in front of a mirror. The ultimate self-pep talk. Okay, let's start with something super simple but super effective. Speaking in front of a mirror. I know. This might sound a bit weird at first, talking to yourself in the mirror. Really? But trust me, it's one of the best ways to practice speaking when you're alone. It's like having a conversation with someone who looks just like you. Okay, it's exactly that, but stay with me. Here's why this works. When you speak in front of a mirror, you can actually see how your mouth moves. You can check out how your facial expressions change when you talk. And you'll start to notice your body language. Maybe you realize you don't use your hands as much when you speak. Or maybe you find out that your facial expressions don't match the tone of what you're saying. This kind of awareness is huge when it comes to improving your communication in English. When I was learning Chinese, I used to do this all the time. I'd wake up, brush my teeth, and then boom. I'd be talking to myself in the mirror about my plans for the day. Today I'm going to the park. Later I need to hit the supermarket and grab some groceries. Oh, and I'm meeting up with Jack at 6. I'd run through my day, speaking out loud, practicing different tenses. Future tense in the morning, past tense in the evening. At the end of the day, I'd switch it up. Today I went to the park. I bought groceries. I met Jack at 6. It was a great day. Doing this helps with fluency, but it also gets you comfortable with using different tenses in everyday situations. 2. Collocation fun. Make English sound more natural. Now, let's move on to something I like to call collocation fun. Don't let the fancy words scare you. Collocations are just groups of words that native speakers naturally use together. Think about it. In English, we say heavy rain, not big rain. Right? That's a collocation. It's just about learning which words typically go together so you sound more natural when you speak. Here's how you can practice. Pick a few common collocations. You can find these in books, online, or from English content like podcasts or YouTube videos. Write them down and then start practicing using them in sentences. Let's say you're practicing collocations like heavy rain, take a break, or make a decision. You could say, it's going to be heavy rain later, so I better take a break now before I go out. Oh, and I need to make a decision about what to cook for dinner. This exercise not only helps you remember the right word combinations, but it also boosts your confidence when speaking. You'll feel more like a native speaker and less like you're fumbling for words. Plus, you can do this in front of the mirror too. Practice saying your sentences while watching yourself speak. It's like practicing with a friend who never judges you. Number 3. Practice with short audios. The bite-sized way to boost your speaking skills. Okay, I'm going to be real with you. I'm a huge fan of listening to podcasts, audiobooks, and even watching movies in English. But here's the thing. When it comes to practicing speaking, I'm all about keeping it short and sweet. Why? Because short audios are easier to manage, especially when your brain's still getting used to English. Plus, they give you more opportunities to practice without feeling overwhelmed. Here's how you can practice with short audios. Find a short clip, maybe a podcast or a recording of someone speaking in English, and listen to it a couple of times. Pay attention to the stressed words or interesting phrases. Then, try to repeat them on your own. You can even pause the audio after each sentence and repeat what you heard, imitating the speaker's rhythm and intonation. There's this great tool called Link that I've used before. It's full of short audios you can listen to, and a lot of it is free. You can pick your level and listen to conversations, and then repeat what you hear. It's perfect for practicing pronunciation and building up your confidence. Once you've listened and practiced, try summarizing the audio in your own words without reading or listening to the script. It's like telling a friend what you just heard. This kind of active practice forces your brain to produce language, which is key to improving your speaking skills. 4. Imitate your favorite actor, because English should be fun. Who doesn't love movies, right? Well, here's a fun way to make use of your favorite films. Imitate your favorite actor. Pick a character you like from an English-speaking movie or TV show and try to copy everything they do. Their voice, their gestures, their facial expressions, their accent. It's not just about speaking, it's about embodying the character and having fun with it. Why does this work? Well, part of learning a new language is stepping into a new identity. When you imitate someone else, you're kind of wearing a mask, which can help reduce the fear of making mistakes. You're not you, you're Johnny English, or whoever your favorite character is. It takes the pressure off and makes the whole process more enjoyable. Here's an example. Rowan Atkinson's character, Johnny English, is a hilarious, over-the-top British spy. If you imitate him, you can practice speaking with a British accent, using exaggerated gestures, and even mimicking his overconfident tone. The best part? It doesn't matter if you make mistakes because you're playing a role. This is just the beginning of the essay, which can be expanded further to include more detailed explanations, examples, and practical advice for each technique mentioned in the summary. By using relatable examples, emotional language, and humor, the tone remains friendly and engaging, making it easier for learners to connect with the content. 5. Send audio messages. Practice with your friends, or even yourself. Alright, here's something we all do every day. Text messaging. Whether it's WhatsApp, Facebook, or Instagram, we're constantly chatting with friends, family, or coworkers. But let me ask you this. How often do you send voice messages instead of typing? Probably not as often as you should, especially if you're learning English. That's why I'm going to suggest something a little different. Send audio messages in English. Let's break it down. When you send a text, it's great for practicing your writing, sure, but you miss out on a golden opportunity to practice speaking. Sending an audio message, though, gives you a chance to actually speak the language. And the best part? You get to think about what you're going to say, record it, listen to it, and if you don't like how it sounds, delete it, and try again. No pressure. It's like having a mini rehearsal before you send your message off. Got a friend who speaks English or is learning like you? Perfect. Have a little fun by sending voice notes to each other. You can talk about your day, share what you're cooking for dinner, or even discuss a new movie you've watched. Even better, if your friends or family don't speak English, you can still send them an English message. It doesn't matter if they can't understand it, because it's all about your practice. Maybe they'll even start picking up a few words themselves. Let me share a quick story. When I was getting into the habit of sending voice messages in another language, I'd use this trick with a friend who was also learning. We'd send each other little challenges like, describe your favorite meal, or tell me about your weekend plans. It was a blast, and because we weren't face-to-face, the anxiety level was practically zero. Plus, you'll feel a small victory each time you hit send. So, get creative, and don't be afraid to send those audio notes. 6. Imitate the English foreigner. Use your native accent to your advantage. Here's a fun one that might seem a bit counterintuitive, but trust me, it works. You know how tourists or foreigners speak your native language with an accent, right? For example, imagine an English-speaking tourist trying to speak Spanish or Italian. There's usually a certain rhythm or pattern that's different from a native speaker. Well, you can use this idea to improve your English pronunciation. Let's say you're a Spanish speaker. First, think about how English speakers sound when they try to speak Spanish. You might notice that they bring some of their English pronunciation habits into Spanish, and it sounds a bit off, right? Now, switch it up. Speak your own language with an English accent. Sound a little silly? Probably, but that's exactly the point. Once you get the hang of imitating that accent, it becomes easier to transition into speaking English naturally because you're already thinking in that rhythm. It's almost like practicing English with training wheels. You're getting used to the flow of the language without stressing over perfect grammar or sentence structure. The idea is to practice the sound of English first. Over time, as you get more comfortable, you can start speaking English with more confidence. And hey, it's also a lot of fun. You can even do this when you're out with friends. Pretend you're a tourist and practice your English in everyday situations. And remember, nobody's judging you. We've all heard tourists trying to speak our languages. It's part of the process. Now, you get to flip the script and do the same with English. It's a great way to break the ice, especially if you're feeling a little shy about speaking up. 7. Shadowing. Follow close behind like a pro. Let's talk about shadowing, one of my favorite techniques for boosting your speaking skills. It's not as spooky as it sounds. In fact, it's one of the coolest ways to practice speaking like a native, and it's super easy to do. All you need is a short audio clip or video, and you're good to go. Here's how it works. You listen to a short piece of audio, maybe a podcast episode, a news clip, or even a scene from your favorite movie, and you repeat exactly what the speaker is saying right after they say it. But don't wait until the sentence finishes. You've got to follow them as closely as possible, almost like you're right behind them, shadowing their every word. That's why it's called shadowing. You're like their language shadow. At first, it might feel a bit tricky. You'll probably miss a few words here and there, and that's totally normal. The key is to keep going, even if you stumble. The more you do it, the better you'll get at staying on pace with the speaker. And here's the magic part. Shadowing forces you to really focus on two things that are super important in English: word stress and intonation. You'll start to notice how native speakers emphasize certain words in a sentence and how their voice rises and falls depending on the emotion or meaning behind the words. For example, if you're shadowing an audio clip where someone says, "I absolutely love pizza," you'll notice how absolutely is stressed, giving it that extra punch of enthusiasm. When you shadow, you'll automatically pick up on these little details, and before you know it, you'll be speaking with much more natural rhythm and emphasis. It's a bit like karaoke for language learners. You're not just listening and repeating, you're actively participating in the conversation, even if the other person can't hear you. After a while, you'll find that you can apply the same patterns and stress when you speak on your own. It's a powerful way to build fluency, and honestly, it's a lot of fun. 8. Responding in real time. Master the art of quick thinking. Okay, this next one is for all of you who want to level up your conversation skills. One of the toughest parts about speaking English is when someone asks you a question out of the blue and your brain freezes. You've been there, right? Someone asks, "What do you think about globalization?" And suddenly you're like, well. It happens to the best of us, especially if you're not used to thinking on your feet in English. That's why practicing responding in real time is such a crucial skill to develop. You don't always have time to prepare your answers in real conversations, so it's important to get comfortable with giving off-the-cuff responses. Here's the best way to practice. Find a speaking partner or a friend who can throw random questions at you. It doesn't matter what the topic is. What matters is that you have no idea what they're going to ask. Maybe they'll ask, "What's your favorite holiday destination?" Or something more abstract like, "Do you think technology is making us smarter?" Whatever it is, your goal is to respond without hesitation. You don't need to give a perfect answer. Just focus on getting your thoughts out as quickly as possible. Over time, this will help you build the muscle memory for speaking under pressure. No speaking partner? No problem. You can still practice this on your own by using YouTube videos or even apps that provide random questions. One trick I've used is to create a playlist of random questions, hit shuffle, and answer the questions as they pop up. The beauty of this is that you never know what's coming next, so you're always kept on your toes. And here's a little pro tip. When you're hit with a tough question, don't panic. Use time fillers like, "That's a great question." Or, "Let me think about that for a second," to buy yourself a little time while you gather your thoughts. Native speakers do this all the time, and it's a great way to sound more natural while giving yourself a few extra seconds to come up with a response. Before you know it, you'll be a pro at handling surprise questions like a boss. Number 9. Describe what you're doing. Narrate your own life. Alright, this next one might sound a little quirky, but stick with me. It's one of the most effective ways to practice thinking in English. Here's the deal. As you go about your daily life, whether you're at home, at the park, or even grocery shopping, I want you to start narrating what you're doing in English. Yep, you heard me right. Become your own personal narrator. Here's how it works. As you're walking through the park, for example, start by pointing out things you see. There's a man walking his dog. The trees are swaying in the wind, the sun is shining. Keep it simple at first. Just single words or short phrases. Once you get comfortable with that, start building up to full sentences. There's a man walking his dog on the path. The trees are swaying gently in the breeze. I think the sun is about to set. You can do this anytime, anywhere. You don't even have to say it out loud unless you want to, which is totally cool. You can just think in English and mentally narrate your day as it unfolds. This simple habit is a great way to keep your brain engaged in the language. And it helps build fluency because you're constantly forming sentences in real time. And hey, you don't have to worry about people thinking you're talking to yourself. Because let's be honest, with everyone walking around talking on their phones these days, nobody will even notice. You can pop in your earbuds, pretend you're on a call, and just start narrating away. There's a guy jogging past me. The flowers are blooming. I should grab a coffee after this. It's totally normal, and the best part? You're getting practice in real-world settings, which is exactly what you need to become more fluent. Now, let me take this one step further for you. Once you've gotten the hang of describing what's happening around you, start incorporating collocations and descriptive phrases. For example, instead of just saying, I see a dog, you can say, I see a fluffy golden retriever happily wagging its tail as it trots down the sidewalk. See what I did there? By adding a little more detail, you're not only expanding your vocabulary, but also making your English sound much more natural and fluid. Number 10. Practice by being a spy. Channel your inner Johnny English. This next tip is just plain fun, and it's guaranteed to make you laugh while you practice speaking English. Remember that movie, Johnny English, with Rowan Atkinson? He's a bumbling, hilarious British spy who always seems to get himself into the most ridiculous situations. Well, here's your chance to become a spy too, without the danger or the bumbling. I like to call this technique Johnny English mode. Here's what you do. While you're out and about, whether it's in the park, at the grocery store, or even walking down the street, imagine you're a top secret spy on a mission. You need to observe everything around you, but here's the twist. You have to narrate it in English, as if you're giving a report to your secret agent boss. Sounds silly? That's the point. When you're learning a new language, it's important to make it fun and keep the pressure low. This exercise helps with that by turning English practice into a game. So, let's say you're sitting in a cafe, pretending to be Johnny English. You could whisper or just think to yourself, I'm currently observing a man in a dark suit, sipping coffee at the corner table. He seems to be reading a newspaper. Could he be a secret agent too? I must stay alert. A woman just walked in with a red umbrella. It looks suspicious. I'll keep an eye on her. You get the idea. You're practicing English by narrating everything you see. But because you're playing a character, the pressure melts away. Not only does this keep your practice fun and engaging, but it also helps you get used to speaking in public spaces without feeling awkward. And if anyone catches you talking to yourself, just flash them a wink. You're Johnny English after all. 11. Engage in real conversations. Find opportunities online. All right. So we've covered a lot of ways you can practice speaking English on your own, but eventually you'll need to take the plunge and start speaking with real people. I know this can be a little nerve-wracking, especially if you're worried about making mistakes, but trust me, it's one of the most rewarding steps you can take on your language learning journey. Here's the good news. You don't have to leave your house to practice English with real people. There are tons of online communities, apps, and language exchange platforms where you can connect with native English speakers or other learners who are just as eager to practice as you are. Platforms like Tandem, HelloTalk, and Speaky are great for this. You can set up text, voice, or video conversations with people from all over the world. And guess what? Most of them are also learning a new language, so they totally understand what you're going through. Start small. You don't have to jump into a long video call right away if that feels overwhelming. Begin with text chats or voice notes and gradually build your confidence. A quick hello can turn into a full conversation about your favorite hobbies, movies, or what you ate for lunch. And don't be afraid to make mistakes. That's part of the learning process. Everyone makes them. And it's actually how we get better. Remember, when you're chatting with someone who's learning English just like you, they're not going to judge you. In fact, they'll probably appreciate that you're trying and might even share some of their own funny language blunders. I've made plenty of those myself, trust me. 12. Use apps and tools to track your progress. One of the coolest things about learning English these days is that we have a ton of awesome apps and tools at our fingertips. Seriously, it's never been easier to practice and track your progress, all from the comfort of your home. Whether you're working on speaking, writing, or listening, there's an app for that. Take Duolingo, for example. It's great for practicing vocabulary, grammar, and even pronunciation, and it turns language learning into a game. You earn points, level up, and get daily reminders to keep practicing. It's perfect for squeezing in a few minutes of practice here and there. Then there's Memrise, which is another fantastic tool for learning new words and phrases. What I love about Memrise is that it uses real videos of native speakers, so you're hearing how English is spoken in real-life situations, not just in a textbook. Plus, you can repeat words and sentences out loud, record yourself, and compare your pronunciation to native speakers. It's like having a language tutor in your pocket. And if you want to practice speaking more in depth, check out italki. You can book affordable lessons with real English teachers or language partners, and they'll help you practice everything from conversation skills to pronunciation. It's a great way to get personalized feedback, which is super valuable as you improve. Don't forget to track your progress too. Apps like Linguist and Babbel let you monitor how many words you've learned and how much you've improved over time. Seeing your progress will motivate you to keep going, and you'll feel proud of how far you've come. Trust me, there's nothing better than looking back and realizing, wow, I've learned so much. 13. Record yourself speaking. Learn from your own voice. Here's one of the most effective ways to improve your English speaking. Record yourself. I know, nobody likes hearing their own voice on tape. It can be cringeworthy at first, but I promise, it's one of the best ways to catch your mistakes and notice areas where you can improve. Think of it this way. When you're speaking English in real time, you might not notice that you're making certain mistakes. Maybe you're mispronouncing a word, or maybe your sentence structure is a bit off. But when you listen to a recording of yourself, it's like having a mirror for your voice. You can go back, hear where you hesitated, and figure out how to make your speech flow more naturally. Here's how to do it. Pick a topic you want to talk about. Maybe it's something simple like describing your day, or something more challenging like explaining your favorite hobby. Hit record on your phone or computer and start talking for a minute or two. After you're done, play it back and listen to how you sound. Were there any words that didn't come out quite right? Did you pause a lot? Maybe you used a certain phrase over and over again without realizing it. Once you've pinpointed a few areas for improvement, try recording the same topic again, but this time focus on fixing those mistakes. Over time, you'll notice a huge difference in your confidence and fluency. And if you're feeling really brave, you can even share your recordings with friends, language partners, or a teacher for feedback. Don't be afraid. Getting constructive criticism is a crucial part of the learning process, and it'll help you improve faster. 14. Join online English communities. Surround yourself with the language. Finally, one of the best ways to stay motivated and improve your English is by surrounding yourself with it. You might not be living in an English-speaking country, but thanks to the internet, you can create your own English-speaking environment by joining online communities and forums. There are tons of Facebook groups, Reddit communities, and language learning forums where you can connect with other English learners and native speakers. For example, the r/English learning subreddit is full of people just like you, who are sharing tips, asking questions, and practicing their skills. You can ask for feedback on your writing, join discussion threads, or even find a language exchange partner. Another great option is to follow English-speaking YouTubers, bloggers, or social media influencers who talk about topics you're interested in. This way, you're practicing your listening skills while also learning about something you enjoy, whether it's cooking, travel, tech, or fitness. The more you immerse yourself in English content, the more natural it'll feel to speak and think in English. Conclusion: keep it fun and consistent. So there you have it. Tons of practical, fun, and stress-free ways to practice English at home, even if you're flying solo. The most important thing to remember is that language learning doesn't have to be boring or intimidating. Whether you're talking to yourself in the mirror, sending audio messages to friends, or pretending to be Johnny English, there are countless ways to make the process enjoyable. The key to success is consistency. A little bit of practice every day adds up over time. And before you know it, you'll notice a huge improvement in your speaking skills. Keep things light, stay curious, and don't be afraid to make mistakes along the way. After all, every mistake you make is just another step toward fluency. So go ahead, grab your phone, hit record, and start speaking. You've got this.